Welcome back on deynonmod. Today I want to propose you a video about the unbox review about the White Dwarf issue 520 of January 2026. So we start with a new year with the White Dwarf, and here we can find an amazing cover to welcome us, because we had the Nightbringer, the new model of the Nightbringer that is been released with the 500worlds Ultramar, and sincerely I love such thing because it's really quite amazing as model. Okay, it was beautiful and amazing also the other one, but it kept a bit of its ears on its own shoulder, and here it's an amazing one, and maybe in the future I have it, I hope, but we'll see. Still, it's fantastic. One rant that I want to do about this, because you know that I have to do a bit of a rant. You please start to send and deliver this White Dwarf in a better way, because I pay more for this, because remember that from the December 2025 has been increased the price to 10 euros for each one. Okay, so here we can find that we have a lot of little details, that there are little damages along all the board and so on, and really it should not be like this. It should be perfect, and believe me, this is the best that I found. The others were much worse, and you can say, okay, but it's not bad. It's bad for what it's paid, and so I preferred to have a delivery that it's good for the things, okay, because we pay anyway for such things. But we can start to see about the inside. We can start with this, that are cards to play flesheater cards inside Darkwater for both of these parts. Eventually there is a bit part about the meeting and so on inside this White Dwarf as a little article. And then we have these that are the usual mission that are inside. One that is said about Warhammer 40k, and one for Age of Sigmar. The one for Age of Sigmar, it's again back to be one that is from 2022, so from an old one that is readjusted. And I love such thing because it makes you see that you can readjust old missions and old battle plans and so on, but in a way that you can play them adjusted to the new edition, whatever it is. And I appreciate such thing because you can have the things that you had and simply pay again. I quite like. Here you have the alternative over the White Dwarf that you can have, making the subscription of to the White Dwarf, and in such way you can save quite a lot of money and have the White Dwarf without any writing, so the same cover but poor art. So I quite appreciate such option eventually, and I suggest you eventually because it's a good option. So let's start to see instead this White Dwarf about the contents inside. Here we had the introduction about the White Dwarf. Here we had the contents inside. We can start to see so what is inside, and we can start to see something missing. It's missing the part about the mini list of the readers to the team of the White Dwarf, but it's not missing. It's at the back of the White Dwarf, combined with the satellite. Sincerely, I appreciate such uses because I myself have suggested more and more times about this, because it was practical, because we had a part that it was a little about scene conversion, painting and so on by the readers, and then by other fans that to do the same, and combined together I think that it's really quite good in my opinion. So they are still present but simply moved as position, but it's okay. And here we can start so with 500worlds Titus, something that has been announced and released for December, okay, of 2025. And here it's the first part of the end campaign of the 10th edition for Warhammer 40k. And about this, remember that in the description I leave you also my vlog about the event that is the early preview Warhammer, that treat also, that has been done in January, that it's about also the second part of the campaign of the end edition, and it's the Maelstrom. So eventually you can go to see in the description the link and see the video. Eventually there is also the timeline that you can go to see the part that I test about, also about the Maelstrom stuff. And so we can see about the article that it's treating about this first part of the campaign of end edition, and it's, as you can see, a little about Necron against the Ultramarine, because they are the 500worlds Ultramar that are little about this part of the campaign. And I quite appreciate, because I don't intend to buy about this book campaign. So okay, nice. Here we can see, for example, the talking about the end edition, and we can see some examples. So the Gathering Storm, here are the arcs, and here are the Psychic Awakening. And for example, of this I bought only one book of the Psychic Awakening, because the other I was not interested about. So seeing like this, it's a good way to know that it's the ending of the edition. So now we can speculate when it will be about the new edition, the 11th edition for Warhammer 40k. Maybe this summer, the next one. Anyway, it will be a summer, so it's quite probable to see about the 2026 summer that we'll see the 11th edition coming out, so new box. So start to prepare your money eventually, because this it's a good way to suggest you to do such. And if you're interested about this, remember that they are limited as copies. So if you're interested about this one, you have to pay quite a lot of blood to be able to find the first part of the campaign, but be ready at least for the second one, because it's really quite interesting. And so we can see about amazing artworks here. Here we have one of the new character that has been released, that it's fantastic. Sincerely, I love this model. And then we can see again about new information about the campaign and so on. It's a really good way to understand much better how it works. And here we can see also the characters that are in this part of the campaign, because remember that each part would be with a different theme. So here we can see better about the background of this. And this Titus, if it seems familiar, it's because it comes from the Warhammer 2 video game. So here you can understand why, and you have a bit of background, but also about the other mainly models that you can eventually buy, because there's been released also the part about the character for these ones. So you can gain more knowledge about such characters that are for the most part new ones, so not bad at all. Okay, then we can see a part about the battles, and I marked this part about the artworks that are simply amazing ones. And then we can see about also the models, so we can see a better detail about the pieces, eventually the painting that we can do. So a lot of details I quite like, because you can understand much better. Here, so we had the part also about the Nikons. So we had here Nikonsol, and I really like this model. I don't know if I buy it, but I quite appreciate it. And then we have here the new Nightbringer. I want to remember you that it's this model, okay? And it's simply fantastic. I love such type of model. It's dynamic. It will be fragile, you know, but it's wow. I hope to be able to have this quite soon, okay? And then we can go to see instead about an army gallery about the civil schools, that it's a successful chapter of the Ultramarine, so you can talk about participating in the campaign eventually, but we can understand better how you can collect, modify and so on eventually a chapter, so that it can be as you want for your own, because maybe you don't want to play Ultramarine, but you like to play the threats, the example, but change the scheme of color. So it's a good way eventually. And it's really quite nice, because you can see that you can have quite a lot of ideas about conversion, basing eventually. It's quite simple, the basing, okay, but you can have quite idea about what you can gain and adapt eventually. Then we have Space Marine option. Here we have so the part about the operations one, so the boarding action at the end of the operation. This is again related about the Space Marine 2 video game. So okay, pay attention about this if you're interested. Sincerely, I don't like such type of mission, but if you like, these are really quite a great one to add the option to your game, because you can gain quite a lot of mission available. So you have to play a lot with these ones. And then after these ones that you can see, we have quite a lot of things. We had the part about Age of Sigmar, and we can start with Darkwater. So we started in December with the release of the setbox, and here we have a bit of way to work with it, so a bit of background and so on inside, and it's a good way to know much better about the things that works here, and I find it really quite intriguing. Moreover, I love such artworks, it's amazing. Really, Darkwater, it's continued to say me, buy me, and I try to not do, because it has been announced in that same preview that I talked about, also the Osprey Reaper, so I'm seeing money for them. And really, quite a lot of things I really quite like. Here also a map about Darkwater, so you can have quite a lot of things. And here I told you about the presence of the flesheater cards, you remember the cards, and here the way to use them. So it's a good way to expand it, so it's quite intriguing. Here a bit of painting, and I think that it could be really quite useful to paint some things eventually to understand better how it works. It can work for these colors, or you can change the colors, but apply the same ideas. And here another thing that is important, it's about conversion, diorama creation. And this I love, because this means that this is a really modelist magazine, and I really quite like, because it tells you how you can project the things, how you can realize with simple materials and so on. So you can have quite a lot of fun to create as you want. Okay, Nurgle, it's one of the best to create as you want, because almost everything it's perfect for these things. Maybe only thing that you can be even stranger and okay, it's Singe. But I really quite appreciate, and anyway it show you how you can do the tricks and so on to create with also cheap materials something completely new. And remember that you sell a lot of things that could be used, but be able to create your own ones. Anyway, it's good to prepare your environment and so on. You can use such tricks, okay, both for the Shiny features but also for your basing, because you can use some ideas anyway. And so you can really have quite a lot of fun and really have a combination of standard pieces of the model and other pieces that could be really quite easy to create. So not bad at all in my opinion. It's something that I suggest you to watch better. And then we have another army gallery, but this case about two armies, one related about the cities of Sigmar and one related about the Nighthaunt, both in the amethyst realm. So here it's a good way to see how you can personalize the basing, the colors and so on, based on a certain environment, a certain realm that you want to play with. Sincerely, I quite like, I really quite appreciate such type of thing. And then we had the part after the city of Sigmar about the Nighthaunt. Again, little things change, the scheme of color, little changes and so on, and perfectly adjusted. So it's up to you to decide if you want to take note of some, but anyway, it's a good way to understand better how you can personalize things eventually to your own. It's really quite a nice thing. And finally, the coming back of the Black Library. I was hoping the coming back because it was missing in the last White Dwarf. Okay, understandable, but it's good. Here we can start with a new novel that it will be divided in 5 parts. So here we had the Chornicles of Bain. So not bad. It's for Warhammer 40k. Remember that this it's a good way to understand maybe a new army that you could play, a new author of an army, so maybe you can appreciate, or even simply maybe you can appreciate a new game system, because maybe you usually don't like too much about the gameplay or so on, but you can appreciate the stories. So it's always quite nice to see about such things. I quite like one of my favorite ones, because you know that I buy quite a lot about the Black Rebel, so okay. And after this we have the part about the bunker, and here it talks about the combination of the mini list and the satellite. So remember that here it's always an anticipation to create, modify and play. And so we can start here. We can see this, for example, that I seen, for example, on Instagram some time ago, that it was someone that created a showcase with 3D models, old models with different chapters and so on. It's really quite amazing. I quite appreciate such thing. And here we can see so the part about the models, and it's always nice to see this, both that it was the satellite or the mini list, because it makes you understand what you can create. In this way you can really create something that it's a modification, the basing, the painting. It's up to you decide how you want to do, but you can have quite a lot of ideas from these things. Sometimes maybe quite simple, sometimes could be something that you want to replicate, simple one maybe, but quite nice. And so I suggest you to always watch about this, because there can be some ideas sometimes that can be quite intriguing. So for example, this one that it's a combination of different models together to create something completely new. Okay, see for example this, that it's a Blood Bowl model, again changed. It's a simple change, but will be quite nice. So step by step. And here instead we have this, that it's about a sort of parade for the Chariots. Remember that in November 2025 has been released with the White Dwarf, also a way to play the races, and here how to modify them. So not bad at all, because here you can see conversion related, and they can give you quite a lot of ideas about these ones, or painting, the basing. You can be really quite awesome in all the things that they are going to see, because they are quite simple maybe, but quite effective. I really quite like about. And for example here we can also see a combination of different models, gammas. For example, this bike comes from the Horus Heresy, but here we have this combined with the Caradon Overload, and it's perfect. It's really quite an amazing one. Again, here the painting, the combination. For example, here we have the Noblesse with the part about the Ogomo Thrice, so you have quite a lot of fun about, and it's quite fantastic because it can give you option to create something totally new, totally personalization and so on, and it's the thing that I prefer most about these ones. Okay, maybe this is a bit excessive, but still it's an option, so you can have quite a lot of things that you can think about of this thing. And then here we have the part about the second part of the campaign for the Path to Glory that we've seen starting from December. So here we can see that it's okay, see about conversion, painting and so on, and progressive. I essentially use this as a referral. And then we can see anticipation what we see in the next months available, okay. And then have the final back. And here we can find again a little about what we started. So the 500 world Titus, so the words of Ultramar, so the Necron with the new models against Titus and its Ultramarines, so not bad at all. So what to say about such a deck? Essentially, I quite like, because it's a combination of things that I appreciate. We have the background for both Warhammer 40k and the Sigmar, we had the rules for both of them, and we had the modelism that is a little about Shrinkflation future, but also models. So it's not bad. Okay, it's mainly related about Warhammer 40k, but you have also to remember that this is also the promotion for the first part of the ending campaign for the 10th edition. So okay, it's understandable that is moreover there is the background related. So even if you don't buy the campaign books, you can understand what's happening. So I quite appreciate such thing. And about the operation for the board in action rules and so on, I don't like, but still there is information inside that could be useful. So okay, for the most that like there are. And instead about Age of Sigmar, we had the part about the Darkwater. Okay, you can see I don't like too much, okay, but still the game is available, and here there are the rules to expand the game if you're going to play. Otherwise there is anyway background that anyway it's involved, something that it's going to happen in Age of Sigmar, so it's a good thing anyway. And if you think about the rest, we have a lot of part about Shrinkflation future, the part about Nurgle, the Shrinkflation future ones that could be used also to create your own tabletop or so on to play with, or you can use for your basing. And also the part about the chariot are related about Age of Sigmar, okay, but you can apply also for Warhammer 40k if you want. Still, you have a lot of ideas that are available, and I quite like. And then we had the comeback of the Black Library. So if you see, there is a lot of things. There is also the part about the painting eventually, and that one is mixed because you can take ideas for what you want. So in my idea, it's nice. Okay, maybe not perfect, but it's how it should be. A mix of a bit of everything. So we see. Moreover, remember that we have seen that it's mainly related about Warhammer 40k, but we see, if you're going to see my video about the event of the early preview of Warhammer, there is also the talking about the second part of the campaign, the Maelstrom for Warhammer 40k, and also the the announcement of the release for the Awesome Reaper, the Luminate Realm Lord, and the White Dwarf of January. In such a way, it means that the second part of the campaign can't really exit and be released quite soon, because it's still in progress in the first part. So maybe in March, okay, because we had to remember that the new edition should be in this summer about Warhammer 40k, and we know for sure that will be a third part, so maybe in April, May, so we can have a sort of idea. So if this of Titus is in January, the second part could be in March, and the third part could be in May. And in such a way, we have in July the 11th edition, if it doesn't even, there is another one. And should be, anyway, be released the 11th edition of the Warhammer 40k this year, okay? Thinking about this, it's not bad, because we had then the option about having in the alternative months that miss more maybe about Age of Sigmar. And so there is quite a lot of option, in my opinion. So, not bad, okay, it could be balanced as White Dwarf. I'm quite curious to know about your ideas anyway. Do you like? Would you prefer something different? You don't like at all Darkwater? You don't like at all this campaign for the end of Warhammer 40k and you want that it continue? Or you are waiting as myself a lot that finally will be going to be released the 11th and maybe it will change quite a lot such messy game that is the 10th edition? I'm quite curious about to know your opinion. Eventually write in the comment. Anyway, from deynonmod it's everything. I invite you to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell so to receive notification about new video, to comment under here about this video, or if you want to suggest me new videos. So, I hope to see you again to the next time.